So WWE has once again parted ways with Braun Strowman among their latest round of roster cuts. Strowman stands out literally as the biggest name among the releases. This no doubt came as a surprise to some of you, considering Strowman had been used regularly on Friday Night SmackDown. So that begs the question, why would WWE sign the Monster of all monsters back just to fumble him all over again? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. I'm Liam from Sportskeeda Wrestling, and today we're taking a look at how WWE failed Braun Strowman again. But before we go any further, don't forget to hit subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified first about all of our newest videos. Strowman's final WWE appearance came in a last man standing match against Jacob Fatu, with the winner earning a shot at LA Knight's United States Championship at WrestleMania 41. Strowman came up short in the match, marking his last televised appearance for the company. The reason for this, at least according to the wrestling news media, is that Strowman's TV usage didn't justify the high salary he was being paid. Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio had this to say on the matter. One person told me they felt he was being paid more than they were using him. I guess that's the best way to put it, but his salary played a big part in it. Strowman's initial release from WWE back in 2021 raised a lot of eyebrows at the time because he'd only won the Universal Championship the previous year. Something similar even happened to his former Wyatt family stablemate Bray Wyatt at the time. But when Triple H assumed creative control in 2022, many wrestlers got a second chance with the company. On the September 5th, 2022 episode of Monday Night Raw, Braun Strowman made a very Braun Strowman return by interrupting a fatal four-way match and absolutely obliterating everybody in sight, sending a clear message that he was back, and more dangerous than ever. Or so we thought. And what was the first feud that WWE had lined up for him following this return? Omos. Yep, that's right, Omos. The dream is still alive. Their match at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia came under a strange set of circumstances, given that Strowman was actually the smaller of the two men, something that had rarely happened to the Monster of all monsters throughout his career. Although, admittedly, there are some countries that would look small next to Omos. Strowman weighed 335 pounds for the match, but he was still eclipsed by Omos's massive build weight of 416 pounds. This one was a meat slapper. Braun Strowman went on to win the match, which was actually better than anybody thought it would be. Riding this wave of excitement on what we can only assume is the biggest surfboard in the world, Strowman took to X.com, oh no, to express his elation with the positive reaction to the match. This post ended up stirring up some controversy, reading, "Holy hell, Omos. Can you believe we got 47 stars and reminded the people that no one cares about these flippy flippers?" A clear shot taken at the high-flying style, Strowman had begun to stir the pot only a few months into his second WWE run, sparking outrage online, surprise surprise, from certain members of the wrestling community, with the likes of Chris Jericho, Will Ospreay and Mustafa Ali all speaking out against the comments. In an attempt to put his Twitter faux pas behind him, WWE entered Strowman into the SmackDown World Cup, with the eventual winner receiving an Intercontinental Championship match against the ring general, Gunther. Strowman did look pretty dominating in the tournament, until he ran into Ricochet, who beat him. This led to an unlikely alliance between Strowman and Ricochet, who went on to feud with Gunther and Imperium, with Strowman eventually challenging the ring general for the Intercontinental Championship. And though he came up short, it definitely seemed like WWE was ready to push him again. Then in 2023, some disaster struck, and Braun Strowman was sidelined with a neck injury. He was out of action for most of 2023, but did make a very emotional appearance on the August 25th episode of SmackDown, which was dedicated to Bray Wyatt, who had sadly passed away. After nearly a year on hiatus, Strowman made his return to Monday Night Raw on April 29th, 2024. Upon his return, he began a feud with Big Bronson Reed, who had already impressed that year in his feud with Seth Rollins, where he destroyed the Visionary with multiple tsunamis. Strowman was the perfect opponent for Reed in terms of size, power and just sheer presence, posing the kind of threat that Big Bronson had yet to face in WWE. They absolutely destroyed each other over a few-week period on Monday Night Raw, with several backstage brawls and viral moments, including a quite startling scene where Reed hurled a fan at Strowman, and let's not forget Reed's brutal tsunami splash on top of a car. It was utter chaos, but the best kind. The feud eventually culminated with a last monster standing match on September 30th, 2024, which Strowman won after a return in Seth Rollins delivered the curb stomp to Bronson Reed. During this match, Strowman suffered yet another injury, this time to his groin, once again putting him out of action. Wow, this dude just could not catch a break during this run, could he? This time though, Strowman was only out for a couple of months, and soon made his return to SmackDown, having run-ins with the likes of A-Town Down Under and Carmelo Hayes, before starting a feud with Jacob Fatu. Fatu was quickly gaining momentum, and needed a credible, dominant opponent to truly test his limits. Once again, then enter Braun Strowman, who was the perfect test for the Samoan Werewolf. A particular highlight was their match as Saturday night's main event on January 25th, 2025, where the monster of all monsters won by disqualification after the Samoan Werewolf shoved the referee. Fatu looked unstoppable here, delivering Samoan wrecking balls and moonsaults left, right and centre, leaving Strowman a bloody broken mess in the ring, very much making the statement that Jacob Fatu had arrived and he was to be taken seriously. The feud wasn't completely at Braun's expense though, because he did get some revenge at the Royal Rumble match later that month when he dumped Fatu over the top rope. The two continued to battle after this and even ended up in a triple threat match for qualification in the Elimination Chamber, which Strowman lost, which just about catches us up to recent times and WrestleMania 41, which Braun Strowman did not feature on. As we mentioned at the top of the video, he lost the match to Jacob Fatu with #1 contendership for LA Knight's United States Championship on the line. The match, which was a last man standing match, turned out to be Strowman's last match of the company, at least for this run, because on May 2nd, 2022, he was once again released from the company. We're not saying that Braun Strowman's second WWE run was a failure, far from it, but it was nowhere near the heights he reached during his original time with the company. You could argue that WWE fumbled Strowman among many other superstars during their roster cuts of 2020 and 2021, especially considering he'd been the world champion, and when they decided to bring him back, he was very much still the same wrestler, albeit a little more injury prone. However, instead of being used as a dominant monster heel at the top of the card, he was used as a gatekeeper opponent for some of the rising monster heels that WWE had high hopes for, which is still a very important part of the roster. By working with talents like Big Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu, Strowman helped elevate them to the next level. He played a key part in their evolution as performers, and his matches proved that he was still very capable of delivering an audience response, all the while being a significant presence in the ring. I mean, look at him, he's 6'9" and over 300 pounds. How are you supposed to fight a man like that? You don't, he just eats you. I mean, he did beat Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Granted, because Roman Reigns was unavailable, but he still beat Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. But under Triple H's leadership, the focus shifted. He was a recognisable face who could credibly make the new monster heels look like threats. But then again, it's also not really that fair to compare the two runs, given that Strowman was 10 years older, a lot more experienced, and had already pretty much won everything he was going to win the first time he was with the company. Why not let him come back and help some of the younger stars? He may have slowed down a bit and become more injury prone with age, but he'd also become a lot more experienced, and that experience was very beneficial to those who had only just begun their run as monsters in WWE. And in our opinion, he definitely could have done more if his run had been a bit longer, but we wouldn't be making this video if it had been. All things considered though, Braun Strowman still very much has a lot to offer the wrestling industry, and wherever he shows up after this, you can rest assured that he'll be the same monster that he's always been. Just don't let him grow that control your narrative haircut back. Good God. And that's all we got time for. Do you agree with what we said in this video? Did WWE fumble Braun Strowman this time? Did they fumble him the first time? Do you think he'll ever come back? Let us know all these things and more down in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling to see more content like this. And while you're at it, why not smash that little bell icon to enable notifications so you never miss one of these videos and you're always notified first. It will help us out on our push to 200,000 subscribers. This has been Sportskeeda Wrestling. I've been Liam, and we'll see you soon.